Bonjour from Paris, the city of light, one of the most photographed cities in the world, and with good reason. Everything looks amazing here, but that doesn't mean that you can't get original photos if you know where to go. So we're kicking off our Photo Walks in France series with the greatest hits. All the ones you would expect, but I'm going to help you a little bit by showing you where to go to get the best shots. I'm running around town with an iPhone and that crazy Insta360 camera in search of the best shots all over Paris. We're going to start off with the classics because we're storytellers. We are coming to Paris and we are telling a story, a photographic story, about how we perceive the city of light, what jumped out at us, what we found to be the most beautiful, the most unusual. And how can you do that without the Eiffel Tower and its brothers and sisters? You can photograph the tower underneath, but you're not going to get much because you're way too close. You can climb or take an elevator to the top for a great city view, but you're not going to see the tower, of course. Many people brave it and actually stand in the middle of the street along with busy traffic, even with a tripod. A little safer and a way better view is directly across. Those are the first two obvious choices. The fun ones are slipping into hidden side streets. This one behind me happens to be a favorite with local photographers who bring brides and grooms here for a picture postcard, different sort of view of the Eiffel Tower. Let's go check it out. The picture postcard view, the old buildings, the whole motif, it makes for quite a great backdrop, and there are many of them right around the Eiffel Tower, so do explore the Champ de Mars district.
Remember that just before sunset, the fountains are turned on across the way, making for a great photo. And at night, the tower sparkles every hour on the hour. And it's fun watching the sun rise over the tower as well on the other side.
If you want to take a beautiful picture for the Eiffel Tower, I think it's from the boat. When you take the boat, Parisian boat or bateau mouche, you can make a beautiful picture. And especially at night when there is the lights.
For another cool view of the tower, head a few blocks over and climb to the top of the Arc de Triomphe, which, fair warning, is quite a few steps up, but trust me, it's worth the effort.
Arc de Triomphe is fantastic. It's a beautiful point to take a beautiful picture.
They have a fence to keep you in, but you can stick your camera lens right through it. I got away with shooting on a tripod, which enabled me to film a time-lapse of the city at night. It's really easy to do. Just put the phone on a tripod, open the camera app, select time-lapse mode, and let it roll for a good 15 to 30 minutes. While you're up there, of course, there's more than just the Eiffel Tower. There's great shots of the entire city, as you can see right here.
Here's a really cool iPhone trick. Watch these cars disappear in live photos. Check it out.
You shoot the normal way, make sure that you have live photos on, then take your photo, open up the Photos app, and you'll see a little drop-down window at the top. Go from live to long exposure, and the car disappears. People ask me what was your favorite thing you saw in Paris, and it's pretty simple. Just walking down the street with no particular place to go, looking around.
I have said consistently that you will find your best shots on foot. This is a spot that I just stumbled onto, and you know, I've driven by it in a cab. I've walked underneath the river looking up, I didn't see it. I was on a boat looking up and I didn't see it. This is right over the Alexander Bridge, I think it's Alexander III, and it's a really cool place to get yourself in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Some tips on that bridge. Photograph it just after dusk where the lights turn on and the sky hasn't turned black yet, and it is quite a beauty. For your shot with the Eiffel Tower visible, you need to be on the right side of the bridge. Big three classic photos of Paris, of course, include the skyline with the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, and of course, the Louvre Museum with its stunning glass pyramid. The trick is getting the shot without a massive crowd, which you can do if you arrive very early. For the rest of us, the museum is cool with photography inside, unlike many museums. And if you want a kick, follow the signs to the Mona Lisa painting and shoot the paparazzi. Paris itself is one big museum with so many monuments and incredible craftsmanship on so many of the buildings, you can get lost just looking at all these faces carved onto the facades. The 12th century Notre Dame Cathedral is beloved by the world and a must photo stop, but a 2019 fire saw this church under reconstruction for some time. That is ended. What hasn't been under construction and is alive and well in Paris is classic street photography like the masters did back in the 1930s and 40s with their Leicas and 50mm lenses. Today we have smartphones with multiple lenses, affording us ultra-wide, medium, and telephoto looks at the world. And getting candid shots is rather easy. Just point your camera and snap away, or walk up to people and ask them to pose for you, something I highly recommend, because seeing smiling faces in your collection of old buildings and monuments really helps tell the stories of your travels. Now, if being around living people isn't your thing, may I recommend one of the coolest cemeteries you've ever seen? Pere Lachaise is both the largest park and cemetery in Paris, home to some of the most notable figures of all time, including Edith Piaf, Jim Morrison, and even Frédéric Chopin. The monumental graves here are a trip. Meanwhile, what hasn't changed for the living is Parisians' love affair with food. You will want to sit and linger in cafes for a long time and perhaps get a great shot of the tables and outside seating. While a must-stop are the open-air markets for more street photography. If you want to see Paris life at its best, minus tourists, this is the place.
D'accord? Quand on met la lame parallèle ou à plat.
Welcome to Montmartre.
Yes. That's one of the best views of Paris.
Yeah,
right here.
it's one of the best views from the top. I mean, you can climb the Eiffel Tower, but you wouldn't see the Eiffel Tower. So when you climb the Montmartre, you know, you see the Eiffel Tower and you see Notre Dame, you see everything actually. You're on top of, it's really the top of Paris. I've heard that this is Place du Tertre. So Place du Tertre is very famous, like as the artistic cliché of Montmartre. That's where people, you know, used to come to get their face drawn up, and so yeah, this is. But no, it's mostly restaurant.
But you do have
progressively they got rid of the painters on the square.
Okay, but there's 1, 2, 3,
They're
4.
on the sides now, but they used to be on the square. So now it's even smaller to walk around.
Okay, there's a lot of people right now. So if you want to come to this area, what do you recommend to people? Should they
I
come
would
here
recommend
early?
night, winter, snow.
All kidding aside, early mornings here are indeed awesome, but you'll also definitely want to come back for sunsets, despite the crowds, because you get to see some of the best views of Paris that you are going to see anywhere. The main attraction is right across from the church where street performers do their thing for the crowds. Watch this artist climb up the pole with a soccer ball and spin it. What you're not going to easily see from this vantage point is the Eiffel Tower, that is, unless you continue up the street and prepare to climb up a wall for the photo, like I did. So we spoke to Nico about his tips for navigating the area.
Try to get lost. I mean, the best advice in any city somehow is, try to get lost and find your own spot, your own sense of, don't trust Instagram. that's the idea. So here you got many, like now it's quiet actually, because people are having lunch. So lunchtime wouldn't, in some places, lunchtime suddenly the streets just go empty, like a bit here actually. It was much more crowded like half an hour ago. So yeah, there's no The advice is really follow your eye.
Paris, it's a magic city. It's a beautiful city. And I'm sure that when you come to Paris, you don't forget that you are coming to this city.
After the break, we're going to show you more of Paris through the various arrondissements and our favorite of them all, the Rue Cler district.
Come to Paris and ask how to get around and people will say, oh, that's in the 11th, that's in the 12th, that's in the 3rd. What are they talking about? They're talking about districts. There's 20 of them in Paris and they're all identified on your street signs. Right now, we are in the 3rd district. Each district has a photo highlight and we're going to check out all of them right now.
Okay, let's explore. The 1st district is home to the Louvre Museum, the world's most visited with nearly 10 million yearly patrons. 2nd is the smallest of the districts. This area is known for shopping and a large Asian community, while the 3rd has many great museums devoted to Pablo Picasso, Jewish history and art, as well as Victor Hugo, the author of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. 4th is home to the Jewish quarter called the Marais, where you can stand online for a long time to order falafel. It's also where you will see the famed 12th century Notre Dame Church. The 5th, the Latin Quarter, and the famed bookstore Shakespeare and Company. 6th is home to the Luxembourg Gardens, a relaxation spot for so many Parisians. 7th, the home to Rue Cler, the quiet and nostalgic neighborhood at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, and might I mention, it's also home to said tower. This district is where you will find the Orsay Museum, which attracts some of the overflow from the Louvre. 8, the Champs-Élysées shopping district and the Arc de Triomphe monument, as well as one of my favorites, the Alexander III Bridge. In the 9th, you'll see Paris's first sweet shop, home to over 1,000 different kinds of chocolates, and a shopping mall that looks like an old opera palace. The 10th is a residential neighborhood with several markets, including the St. Quin. In the 11th, you've got the canal, popular with local fishing enthusiasts. 12th is home to a giant open-air food market where vendors will sing for you. In the 13th, a swimming pool named for beloved 20th century entertainer Josephine Baker. The 14th, it's the tower with its sky-high view of Paris. 15th, how about a museum devoted to postal history? In the 16th, you'll see Trocadero Square directly across from the Eiffel Tower, for hands down the best view in Paris, as well as the Museum of Wine. Where else but Paris for that, right? In the 17th, it's a residential neighborhood that's home to a sliver of the Arc de Triomphe and a great food market. In the 18th, one of the oldest districts in Paris where artists come up to patrons and cafes and sketch their portraits, and where you can look up from above the mountain all over Paris. The 19th has 2 highlights, the largest park in Paris and the Museum of Music. In the 20th, the world-renowned cemetery is here, the final resting place for everyone from Frédéric Chopin, Edith Piaf, and Jim Morrison from The Doors. Now that we've gone through them, I'd like to take you to my favorite of all, the 7th.
We see a lot of Instagram people in these days, in this neighborhood. It's a real Paris. I mean, we're just next to the Eiffel Tower, but it's not as touristic as if you are just down the Eiffel Tower. You are really living the Parisian way of living.
Here on PhotowalksTV, I've long advocated getting off the beaten path and exploring without being part of a drive-by. Getting on the side streets, getting on the back roads, and here we are in Paris, France, on one of the great side streets. It's called Rue Cler, and our challenge, our object is just to run around with our phone and see how many great photos we can get on just a wonderful side street in Paris. So if you'll join me, let's go explore Rue Cler.
Well, this is what jumped out at me. The cobbled streets, the bakeries, the shops, the markets, those great old buildings, the building accessories, the doorknobs, the great old church behind a gate, the colorful doors.
In this district, the Eiffel Tower, the Champs-Élysées, the Arc de Triomphe are right around the corner, sort of like a 10 to 15 minute walk. I think it's the best place to stay in Paris, so I highly recommend it.
Rue Cler is in the 7th district of Paris, a small lane on a side street near the Champ de Mars, just 2 blocks from the metro. The Eiffel Tower is a 15-minute walk, while the Champs-Élysées will take you about a half hour. You are surrounded, as you can see, by so many great restaurants, buildings, and Paris street life, the way you probably always imagined it. The Alexander III Bridge that I spoke about in our first segment is a short stroll away, as is the Orsay Museum. While in Paris, we stayed at the Hotel Champ de Mars, a small boutique hotel about a half block away from the metro. In fact, that was the hotel owner you saw interviewed at the front of the episode. We love the hotel and highly recommend it. Check out our view of the Eiffel Tower from our room. That is, if you stick your head out the window to grab a peek. Thank you, Celine.
The hotel is more than 100 years. The building was built during the Exposition Universelle. It was built for the workers to go and build the Eiffel Tower. So it's very old, and you can feel, I think, the history of the building.
Now, when we come back after the break, it's time for our photo tips segment, where today we are all about the most photographable city in the world, Paris, and its most photographed subject, the Eiffel Tower. Now, we have no great stats for you on how many times a year the tower gets photographed, but consider this. Paris welcomes around 30 to 40 million tourists annually, and you know that every one of those tourists is going to take at least one photo of the tower. And if you check the hashtags on Instagram, the tower has over 7 million post tags. So yeah, it's that popular. So let's run down the 5 best spots to photograph her. And remember that all of them are not when you enter the facility. You have to step away to get a great shot. And we're going to begin with my all-time favorite, which is Trocadero Square. This is for the best classic view directly across from the tower. I especially like it at sunrise when the crowds are minimal, but when the sun goes down, the fountains go up, and that's an amazing shot too. The symmetry and elevation make it a go-to spot. Number 2, a Seine River cruise. Capturing the tower from the water is such a romantic shot, especially during sunset or at night when the tower sparkles. The top of the Arc de Triomphe. Now, it's a heavy climb up there, but the view is definitely worth it. It's where I got my best shot of the Eiffel towering over the city, perfectly framed among the city's rooftops. Number 4, Champ de Mars Park. This is ideal for a more relaxed scenic view with greenery in the foreground. And you know, any side street near the tower is also fantastic, and you can get your subject in there with the tower right behind. Number 5, right on the street in front of the tower. That busy street, Rue de Université, with the Seine by your side, is so popular with photographers who will actually brave the incoming traffic just to get the shot. Nothing screams, "I'm in Paris," like this. And beyond what I've just told you, remember that every street tells a story. Any block that happens to be near the tower has some amazing view that will just knock out your social media fans. You're in Paris and they're not. I heavily urge you to explore with your camera in the neighborhood, going down as many side streets as you can. And as always, remember, you will get your best shots in the morning when the light is soft and there are fewer people out, and when the sun goes down and Paris is at her most romantic. Plus, can you beat the sparkling Eiffel Tower once an hour, every hour, on the hour, after sunset, and lasting a full 5 minutes? Remember that the city turns off the lights at 1 a.m. Best of all, these tips work on any camera, whether it's a big mirrorless or DSLR or phone camera. The principles are the same. As I have said many times, you do not need to lug a big camera with you for travel photography. Pretty much everything that you're going to need while you're on vacation, you can pick up on your phone. So that's a wrap for our photo walk of Paris. People have asked me often to name my favorite location of all time. And without hesitation, I always say the City of Light, because let's face it, is there a more magical place? Questions about any of the photo tips? Remember, I'm just one click away at photowalkstv.com in the contact section. I'm Jefferson Graham saying bonjour, and I look forward to seeing you on the next photo walk.